All right, guys, welcome to the channel, and let's get it. Hit one of our links in the description box below. Actually, we want y'all to hit all the links. They're in the description box where you guys can support. If y'all enjoyed this video, you love the content, you want to see more, you guys can hit the Cash App, PayPal link. They're in the description box below. We appreciate everybody who support that. Y'all can cop the merch. We'll put a link to get the merchandise in the description box as well. Also, follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, X, and also Instagram. Those links are in the description box. The A Weapons album, salute to A Weapons. He rep Midlife Music. He's on a lot of our intros. R&B album is in the description box. The link to go get that, as well as the weight loss formula, straight drop weight loss formula. Go get that. The link is in the description box below. You guys can subscribe to our podcast, and you guys can go get a free website membership. That link and all the links, as always, will be down in the description box, and I'll pin it in the top of the comment section as well as a link most of the times to the story that we are bringing you guys, so you guys can actually see how it's being sourced. But let's get into this video. So today we're going to be talking about this situation right here. All right, you guys, so we got to get into this, man, right off the jump today, man. Everybody was talking about that video yesterday with Ray Lewis going in on Shannon Sharpe. If you guys don't already know, Ray Lewis basically, man, he executed Shannon Sharpe yesterday over there on that Patrick David Bet interview. And basically he said Shannon Sharpe sold out to get where he's at today, selling liquor, doing all this other stuff. And people thought that came out of left field, but it didn't. And I'm going to show you guys some things that actually sparked up this entire situation between Shannon Sharpe and Ray Lewis, because they had a beef that was brewing between each other. And these two guys who won a Super Bowl together, they played together with the Ravens and won a Super Bowl together. And obviously they fell out over personal disagreements and, public spats. But I want to go back to the originator of this situation. Now, apparently, I'm going to go back to almost 2017. when they were in the midst of this Colin Kaepernick argument. And Ray Lewis was telling Colin Kaepernick, leave the flag out of it. Don't put the flag in it. You know what I'm saying? You should have went and got a whole bunch of other players to come on board with you before you did it. You went by yourself. People aren't understanding. And then, Ray Lewis, he was just going off on Colin Kaepernick for doing that, right? Well, Shannon Sharpe, this is before Club Shay Shay, before Unc, before all of this. This is when Shannon Sharpe was still, this is before all the Black and Mild smoking, before the LaPortier by Shay. This is before all that, right? This is back when Shannon Sharpe was still looked at as a company guy, but looked at as a guy who on TV at sometimes was standing up for the community, right? So this is what happened in a little back and forth between those two.
You happen to be there when they brought Dante Stallworth in. He was driving under the influence and killed a pedestrian. Did Steve talk to fans, sponsors, and you?
Yeah, actually.
So he talked to you on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, when Suggs had his incident with his wife, did Steve Bisciotti talk to fans, sponsors, and you?
Talk to me for sure.
Okay, so when I listen to Steve talk, he says, I like how he went from sitting to kneeling, but he never mentioned why Colin Kaepernick kneeled. And in 2015, you were there. You and I talked about it. Something happened to Freddie Gray. He lost his life for police brutality. I have yet to hear an owner talk about that.
We're sitting here as men, and me and you, as men, ourselves, not watch nobody else deal with police brutality. I lived it.
Oh, I know.
That ain't Steve Bisciotti's fight. What happened to Freddie Gray? That ain't no owner's fight.
Yes, it is, though, Ray.
If it is,
this is America.
If it is, then all of our owners should get together and go in these urban neighborhoods and clean it up. Why wouldn't you?
Because, Ray, they don't care, because it's an issue they're never going to have to face. It's people like you and I that's been there.
I agree with Shannon Sharpe on that. I had to stop it right there real quick. I agree with Shannon Sharpe because here's the thing, and this is back in 2017. Here's the thing, and I want to say this, and I want to make this clear. Them NFL owners will take money from them communities. They damn sure will accept the money from those communities. whether it was clean money or blood money. They will accept the money from those broken down, devastated, you know, communities where you've seen all of this, you know, brutality against these people, where you've seen unfair treatment, unfair this, unfair that. They will go and take that money from them, and they will benefit off receiving that money from them. But, you know what I'm saying? When it goes down like things that we saw with Freddie Gray and all this other stuff, man, bro, where they at? Where are they at? So they need to be out there. What Ray Lewis said didn't make any sense to me. They need to be out there too, because they also say they have initiatives for standing up in the community. So don't just stand up on one side, stand up on both sides, stand up on all sides, right? When you see injustice being done to a predominantly black player league, which a fan base has a lot of black folks in the fan base who support and patronize your product, then in my opinion, you should want to help give back and make that community a better place as well. So no excuses for those cats. But let's keep going, because this is good.
Because, Ray, they don't care, because it's an issue they're never going to have to face. It's people like you and I that's been there and know people that's faced these issues. You talking about Steve Bisciotti is never going to have to worry about the police beating him or a family member down. Jerry Jones, Mr. Kraft, they never going to have to worry about that.
That's what I just said.
So why should they care? They should care because it's the United States of America.
Now, Shannon Sharpe said that, right? Shannon Sharpe said that, right? And I agree with Shannon Sharpe, right? And so Ray Lewis, you know what I mean? Him and Shannon Sharpe, they had really, you know, been going back and forth with this thing. They was going hard. So remember then what happened is Ray Lewis kneeled, right? What happened is that Ray Lewis kneeled, right? Ray Lewis got down on them knees and he kneeled, all right? And so when he kneeled, that caused a lot of people to be up. No, excuse me. When Ray Lewis, excuse me. Let me tell y'all basically what happened. Ray Lewis got criticized, right? Because he kneeled, but he said that he didn't kneel to protest. He kneeled to pray. He got destroyed for that, because everybody's like, what are you talking about? You ain't kneel to protest, dog. You kneel to pray. What are you talking about? And so Ray Lewis was like, nah, I kneel because I had to pray, man. I had to pray, bro. I had to, you know what I'm saying? I had to pray. That's what he said, right? So let's get to that. That whole, what Ray Lewis was saying. Because this is how it all got cooked up between these two.
We started to really, because we both agree, like, and I've said this many a times, we both agree, like, what he did, I'm 100% for racial injustice, 100%. Trust me, right? I lived it myself, so you don't have to convince me of that part. How he did it, totally different thing. I don't totally agree with that. But you talk about bringing him in as a Baltimore Raven. The thing that we talked about the most, then I got on the phone with Ozzy. Thing we talked about the most was, what does the core? What's the temperature of the core says? When these young guys, these Humphreys, these new guys that's come in there, this new core that you're trying to put together, where does that take them? Right? Does this come in and be purely football? Is he purely dialed in on football? Because if he is, then we have to weigh that option. If he's not, then we have to figure something else out.
And what was your view of how much he could help them win?
And my view realistically is, how bad is Joe hurt? Because if Joe is out one more week, let's say 2 more weeks, that's preseason. Then really? Then why take that risk to have him come play a couple of preseason games?
Okay, what if Joe is higher risk going through the year with an iffy back that could go out at any time? Would you rather have Ryan Mallett or Colin Kaepernick as his backup?
I've never played with neither one of them. So it's, you know what I'm saying? And that's what.
See how Ray is playing on the fence now? He don't really rock with Colin Kaepernick. He never really wanted Colin Kaepernick around. So this was the tension because Shannon Sharpe was rolling with Cap. This is where all that tension really got started right here. And you can see that Ray Lewis ain't want no smoke with Colin Kaepernick over there with the Ravens because it was a chance that Colin Kaepernick's name was getting brought up with the Ravens after that whole situation with the 49ers, right? And people was basically blaming Ray Lewis, saying he shot it down. Now, remember, Ray Lewis still had a lot of other things he had going on in his past as well, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But this is one of the big ones right here, and which I'm giving y'all right now. This was one of the big ones right here, right? So, beyond that, let's get to what else he was saying.
I think every time they come to me from a different perspective. I'm gonna come from the beat of the locker room. I'm just talking about the beat of the locker room. The beat of the locker room is give me the best player that can help us win. Yeah. That's the beat. And so going through the whole thing, Shay, I think one of the interesting things, because we talked for a while, one of the interesting things when you hear about you're gonna please somebody, you're not gonna please this person. Okay, that's life, right? You're gonna piss some people off and you're gonna make some people happy. Okay, whatever. Yep. But at the end of the day, what I'm asking us to do as an organization, let's make a real decision that what we're gonna do. If we're gonna do it. But if you're gonna do it, make sure we know why we're doing it, and hopefully, it's to win.
Well, listening to Steve talk, if he doesn't think Kaepernick can help them win, what are we discussing? Why are we even having this conversation? We should have. He said it. He's not even giving an opportunity. He says he doesn't believe that Colin Kaepernick can help them win.
He said, "I'm not sure."
So right? What are we discussing?
And he told me that, but he told me that now, and that's why I want to make sure we're clear here. Mm-hmm. Right? There's no. If
now remember, Colin Kaepernick was a quarterback who had already taken the team to a Super Bowl. I mean, bro. Listen. Once again, he was a guy who had already taken the team to a Super Bowl, regardless of whether you like him or not. He'd already taken the team to a Super Bowl. So it was just a bunch of gibbering and jabbering and dancing around the issues and stuff like that. That stuff was going on, right? So then you had to go back and think about the situation with Ray Lewis, right? Now, Ray Lewis in his past, right? Ray Lewis, he was arrested back in the year 2000 for his, what they called alleged involvement in a double murder and a stabbing outside of a Super Bowl party. Now, he pled guilty to obstruction of justice in the year of 2000 and became a key witness in exchange for the dismissal of the murder charges against him, right? Now, after leaving a Super Bowl party in Atlanta, a fight broke out, and 2 men were stabbed to death in that incident. Ray Lewis was charged with murder, along with 2 other men, Dwayne Fawcett and Reginald Sweeting, who were also in his leased limousine. Ray Lewis testified as a witness in the trial of his co-defendants, which led to the dismissal of murder charges against him in exchange for a guilty plea to obstruction of justice. Now, the case involved a controversial plea deal, with some question the fairness of that legal proceeding and the circumstances surrounding the incident, as was reported at the time by the New York Times, right? So he later became the MVP of the Super Bowl that followed the year of that incident. And after the charges were brought against him, they went and won the Super Bowl. Remember, he was with Shannon Sharpe on the same team in Baltimore, right? So that is what happened, right? That is what happened. Back in that situation. And it was a lot more specifics, man. You know what I mean? It was a lot more specifics in that situation, but that is what happened. Remember, Ray Lewis played 17 years, right, for the Baltimore Ravens. And so, again, Ray Lewis took that plea deal, right? In that plea deal, it was stated by a man named Green. After that, Ray Lewis kept playing football for more than a decade, but he has never escaped the shadow of Atlanta, and is not the only shadow he's run from. Ray Lewis was raised by a single mom in Lakeland, Florida. His dad was mostly absent and known as a man who misbehaved, treated women badly. In his 30s, Ray Lewis reconnected with his dad. They didn't share much except for the love of a certain song. Now, Ray Lewis says, I asked him one day, I was like, dude, you remember the 5 Heartbeats? He was like, yeah, of course. I was like, you remember the song at the end where Eddie King was singing, I Feel Like Going? So when he was singing, I was like, Dad, can you do me a favor? Can you sing that song to me? Every time I call you, every time you see my number, just sing that song. And honestly, it was a way that I was really able to let go of all the things that I wanted to say or wanted to get mad. Like every time he called me, and it just made me open up to being more of a son, right? So these are different things that Ray Lewis has spoken about back at that time during this whole situation, right? So Ray Lewis, like I said before, man, he took that plea deal, right? Now, fast forward. Now we go through all of this stuff with Shannon Sharpe. So him and Shannon Sharpe really had a tumultuous situation with that entire Colin Kaepernick thing that drew a wedge between them. They was going hard at each other on national TV over that. They was going hard at each other over that situation. Now, Shannon Sharpe blows up. He gets Club Shay Shay. He, goes to a whole nother level. Cat Williams interview, all this stuff. Everybody already knows, right? But before he got into all this trouble, and he was at the peak of his show, he did an interview with Stephen A. Snitch. Now, this is after he had already left Fox, but he did an interview with Stephen A. Snitch on Club Shay Shay. And you can go back and look at his interview on Club Shay Shay. In that interview, Shannon Sharpe kind of exposed Ray Lewis, or basically said that, this dude was sleeping in my basement while he was going through his trial, right? So I believe Ray Lewis heard that, because it seemed like that situation, they never got over that. They never were the same again as a relationship. So this is what he said about Ray Lewis in that Stephen A. Smith interview that happened, I think, over about a year ago now.
Anything that happened in Baltimore from 2000 and 2001, if I tell it in my story, I can tell it in my story, because I was there when Ray went through what he went through in Atlanta. I was there. I was picking him up from the courthouse. He was living with me in my basement. So if I want to tell my story, right, that I should be able to include that. Anything.
So he's saying, hey, look, if I want to tell my story, I can include that. That's part of my story. He said, again, listen to what he said. I was picking up Ray Lewis in the basement. You know what I'm saying? I picked him up in the basement, man. Blase, blase, blah, right? Now, we seen all this. We saw what Shannon Sharpe said. We seen it, right? We seen it. We seen what it was, right? Everybody saw it, right? So that is what happened right there. That situation right there, right? And so now we come to the situation where a year later, I should say, since that comment was made, that stayed in Ray Lewis's mind. So everybody yesterday was like, "Oh, why Ray Lewis coming off on Shannon Sharpe like this?" Now that was part of the reason why it seemed like, because Shannon Sharpe had recently on Club Shay Shay still brought up this stuff of Ray Lewis in his past. So they obviously still had bad blood between them based off that situation right there. But let's get to this, because this gets even more. Now, this is when Ray Lewis went off on Shannon Sharpe, y'all.
Are you wondering?
And excuse me, it got real, you guys. So Ray Lewis went and basically exposed Shannon Sharpe for, he exposed Shannon Sharpe for being basically a sellout and a fraud. Because he said all that stuff Shannon Sharpe doing, he did it just to get to where he's at now.
TV guy personality?
Yeah.
So you knew he was made for TV?
Yeah.
And would he say he's going to do it?
Yes, he had already started prepping.
How much before he retired did he tell?
He'd been started.
Oh, so he's known he's going to be doing that?
Yeah.
So you're not surprised by the success he's having with his podcast and TV and him and Skip and Stephen A., all that stuff?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm shocked at his content. I wouldn't, in a million years, the things that Shannon has said now or did now, I would never believe that Shannon will say or do any of these things.
Like what?
Simply, I take drinking. Shannon, in my entire career, I've never saw Shannon with a drink. Ever. Like it was against the law. right? Because he had some stuff in his family that he didn't want to follow that. And yeah, and then so I kind of started to watch him, and then we kind of went our own separate ways because I'm like, you're going to take that route. I can't go that route. Never can go that route. And that route is to become so worldly that you become popular because you're talking about ignorance, right? A lot of times, a lot of these gossip conversations that they having and bringing up all this stuff, I'm not going to do that to nobody. I'm not in the business for that. I'm in life to try to teach people what does it mean to be a better man or get back to the kingdom, And a lot of times, and a lot of the guys get in trouble with these podcasts and things, man, because everybody wants the follower, everybody wants to be popular, everybody wants to make money, but that's a tight rope into what you call influence and popularity. Right? The devil has the ability to make you popular. God has the ability to give you influence that when people see you, they see an image of him. And that's the thing for me that started to switch with not just Shannon, but just a couple of people. I'm like, wow, you would switch out like that? Really? And I would never, ever. Why? Because of the respect that I have for my mother, my daughters, my granddaughters, life, period. And I think men, given these new platforms, we've overrode what the platform is actually for. The platform is supposed to help somebody find a new direction. We don't help. Everybody just gets on. Everybody's talking now. Everybody got a podcast. Everybody's the new marriage coach. Everybody's the new relationship coach. And ain't nobody coaching themselves.
Now, the crazy part about this whole situation is that there was another aspect of this thing that popped off. And he had no reason running his fat mouth because he is a complete fraud himself. And that is Jason Whitlock. But back to Ray Lewis's comments. We all basically now understand why Ray Lewis brought that up in Valuetainment. Shannon Sharpe had went on Club Shay Shay in an interview with Stephen A. Smith, still kind of taking shots at Ray Lewis years later. So you could tell that they still had an ongoing issue. And that was on Club Shay Shay. So when he talked about, doing them podcasts and gossiping and things like that, he's kind of referencing that too because he saw that. Remember, Ray Lewis ain't always doing these podcasts. So now that he did that podcast, you see. So Jason Whitlock, the biggest fraud in the industry, a good guy who completely sold his soul for the industry, thought it was apropos for him to jump on this story with Ray Lewis and Shannon Sharpe because he got issue with Shannon Sharpe. Well, he forgot that he sold his soul in order to get into this industry. We saw what Jason Whitlock did. And Jason Whitlock openly was on national TV promoting the same types of stuff that he's sitting up there running his mouth about right now with Ray Lewis and Shannon Sharpe. As Ray Lewis called out Shannon Sharpe for basically taking the worldly route and selling out and doing things he didn't normally do to get famous. Well, Jason Whitlock got into that world too. And it's funny how he can always criticize and point the finger, right? And then he always goes back to, I changed my life. Man, be quiet, bro. Jason Whitlock need to have many seats.
Kitten, right? Came from the strip club?
Well, I met a girl named Kitten. And we didn't have a long relationship, but Kitten and I...
More of like a one-night relationship?
No, it wasn't that. Funny story was, she was just trying to get money out of me. This is a real story. So I meet this girl named Kitten, who was a stripper. And, I just talked to Kitten, blah, blah, blah. And we go out for lunch, and then we go out for another lunch. And then, the next time I meet her, at the end of the second lunch, she says, hey, could I borrow $8,000?
Of course.
And I said...
Why are you surprised that a stripper wants money from you?
So I said, what do you need that for? And her answer was, well, my boyfriend's not getting out of prison for 2 weeks.
When I was young and stupid in Las Vegas, back before I figured Vegas out, I went out on a date with a stripper from Spearmint Rhino. And we had a great time. We got liquored up.
Yeah.
We got back to my hotel, and I thought, it's on like Donkey Kong. And she turned to me and she goes, $1,000.
Wow.
No.
I go, what? She goes, yeah, $1,000.
After or before?
Before. Before.
Wow.
And I was like,
so
okay.
if
That
you were
kind of woke me
coaching,
up about strip clubs in
if
Vegas.
you were an NBA coach and you had 23-year-old millionaires, would you be upset like Jason Kidd, who was, if they were at strip clubs the night before a big game and out at 2 a.m.?
I think he has a right to be upset. But as a former NBA player, his players are looking at him with the side eye. Like, come on, man. You Jason Kidd, you played in the NBA. We read the Gold Club stories about the NBA players. We know what Patrick Ewing and everybody was doing at the Gold Club. Don't act like you don't know. And so, and again, maybe Jason Kidd wasn't that guy. Maybe he didn't do that during his playing career. But I think it's safe to say that professional sports, strip clubs are part of the culture. And so athletes would be looking at it, what are you?
Oh, so they're part of the culture. These are all the types of things that hypocrite-ass Jason Whitlock used to say. These are all the things he used to say. Jason Whitlock used to talk about this stuff. He used to talk about how he owned a small portion of a strip club. He talked about this stuff on national TV, named Tootsie's. I have all the recordings. I could just go in for days and days. So the fact that this dude is even running his mouth about any of these situations is disgusting and very alarming. And it shows you the cap is real. It shows y'all the cap is real, right? So when y'all look at a guy like Jason Whitlock, man, you can't take him and nothing he say serious, right? Because this is what he does. He's still walking around talking that talk. You can tell he ain't shaking it all off of him. Because when he talk about Joy Taylor, why do he still talk about her skin and her big cans? Why is he talking like that? A holy man that thou art. Talking about this woman's cans. Talking about what he's capable, what he was capable of doing. I know what I'm capable of. No, what are you capable of? What are you capable of? The sofa knows what you're capable of. Remember that sofa you was laying on that didn't have no legs? The legs were all pulverized. But you sitting up there, like I said before, man, this dude take all these shots and then hide behind, oh, I'm holy. Man, bro, you a lie. You a fraud, brother. Straight up, man. You gonna get called out by it. Simple as that. And that's all there is to it. Right? Gonna sit up there, go off on Nick Wright, talking about he hates being white. Well, the way you act, people think you don't like being black, Jason Whitlock. What are you talking about? Psh, crazy as hell. So, yeah, that's the situation. Don Imus called them girls from Rutgers University basketball team nappy-headed hoes, and what did Jason Whitlock do? Went against those girls. Hey, I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel, supporting the network. Like, share, and subscribe once again. There are links. Get the free membership on our website. That way you guys won't miss any of our news update stories or videos. They're all on the website, ticketvmedia.com. You go over there. You can go right to the members part and become a free member. That way you guys will get all the updates. Also, straight drought weight loss formula. Make sure y'all go tap in and copy some of that, as well as subscribing to our podcast show. Link will be pinned at the top of the chat down there below. And also, we just appreciate all y'all who support the channel. Cash App, PayPal.